No two personality types are confused more often than INFJs and INFPs. But underneath the surface, they're actually pretty different. So if you've ever wondered, am I an INFJ or an INFP? This is the video for you. Here are 12 big differences between INFJs and INFPs. Number one, INFJs plan and INFPs prefer to be spontaneous. INFJs use introverted intuition, which loves structure. INFJs make plans, forecasts, and outlines, and even if they don't follow them, they feel better just having one. INFPs use introverted feeling paired with extroverted intuition, and that means they thrive in open-ended possibility. INFPs resist rigid planning because it feels like a cage, and let me tell you, this is completely opposite of what an INFJ does. So really note this one down if you're trying to figure out which type you are. Number two, INFPs are guided by inner values, INFJs by outer harmony. It's really important to note that the dominant function of an INFP is FI, that's introverted feeling, and that means more than anything else, they're guided by how they feel about something. The INFJ's dominant function is NI, introverted intuition, followed closely by FE, extroverted feeling. So basically picking up how others feel and taking that into account. So INFJs, they have a strong inner compass, but before they tell everyone what their beliefs are, they consider the harmony of the group, how the group will react. They really want to avoid upsetting anyone. INFPs, on the other hand, don't consider the group nearly as much as their own beliefs. They speak a lot more off the cuff, and they don't worry about group harmony so much. Number three, INFJs crave a mission, while INFPs just want to be true to themselves. INFJs, they want their lives to mean something beyond themselves. They often seek to serve or to heal. So if you've ever wanted to change the world and make an impact, that's an INFJ tendency. INFPs want to express who they are at all costs, through art, through choices, and through lifestyle. Johnny Depp is an INFP, so yeah, expressing, it's a big thing for them. Number four, INFJs feel responsible for others. INFPs feel responsible for themselves. Now, this is a huge one because one of the big things with us INFJs is that we take on others' emotions and it can literally make us sick. We just care so much about others and we feel kind of responsible for their fate. INFPs don't do that nearly as much. Their emotional responsibility is inward. So if you feel the emotional burden of others often, you're probably an INFJ. Number five, INFJs absorb feelings. INFPs imagine them. INFJs have extroverted feeling, FE, which means they pick up on others' emotional cues without even thinking about it. Tone, body language, energy shifts, we feel it all. It's kind of like we have emotional sonar. And it's a little bit eerie the way we can feel the tone or the energy of a room immediately upon entering it. INFPs, on the other hand, use introverted feeling, FI, and that works differently. They imagine how someone must feel by running it through their own emotional history. For example, an INFP might see somebody looking awkward at a party and say to themselves, "Oh, I remember when I felt left out at that party last year. That person must be miserable." So for an INFP, it's a projection based on empathy, not absorption. Think of the INFJ like a FE sponge and the INFP like an FI mirror. Number six, INFJ's future trip, INFPs daydream. INFJs have NI, so it's always forecasting, always scanning ahead. But INFPs have NE, that's extroverted intuition, which spirals outward with a lot of ideas. So they may imagine alternate worlds, but not in a linear timeline way. Let me give you an example. An INFJ may think something like, if this policy goes through, this could affect the such and such social class, and that just wouldn't be just or right. An INFP would be more abstract and imagine something like, what if the world had no money? Wouldn't love work better as a currency? So the INFJ's thoughts are more rooted in the real world, how things are going to play out, and planning several steps ahead for the sake of humanity. The INFP, on the other hand, has more abstract and random thoughts that have less to do with the real world and less to do with planning out the future of someone, themselves, or humanity. Quick pause here. If you're an INFJ and this video is hitting home, I wrote an ebook just for you. It's called INFJ Unlocked, and it has everything I wish someone would have handed me when I first realized that I was different, not broken. If my videos help you feel seen, this book goes even deeper. The link is in the description. Number 7, INFJs have tunnel vision. INFPs have cloud vision. INFJs have the ability to lock on to one idea or one insight and go really, really deep on it. They need time to narrow down their focus, and they're seeking to get down to a main point that will affect the future. For example, as an INFJ, I researched the Battle of the Little Bighorn for months. I was looking at political structures, and I was always thinking this whole time, how does this apply to modern life? INFPs, on the other hand, would not be nearly as likely to spend a few months on one single subject. They don't go down the research rabbit hole into one subject like an INFJ does. A lot of times, INFPs will branch out in 10 different directions. They're basically idea explorers. Their extroverted intuition is focused outward. That keeps them curious, but also a little bit more scattered. And for this reason, INFPs sometimes have more trouble finishing a particular project than an INFJ does. So the INFJ equals more focus, the INFP equals more scattered and varied ideas. Number 8, INFJs often filter themselves. INFPs just let it all out. INFJs often filter what we say, not out of dishonesty, but out of care. We instinctively weigh how our words will affect others, especially in emotionally charged situations. But we will bring out the truth when necessary, like when injustice occurs or when the group is in danger. We know it's a big deal to disrupt things, but we'll do it anyway if it's important enough because we feel that truth ultimately is more important than harmony in that moment. INFPs still may worry what others think, but when it comes to their core beliefs, they will not budge. They're a lot more likely to speak off the cuff without running it through their mind first. So they're going to think a lot less about disruption than an INFJ will, and they're going to have a lot less of a plan for the group, if any plan at all. Number 9, INFJs are like puzzle masters. INFPs are like sculptors. INFJs collect pieces of meaning from the exterior world and slowly assemble a complete picture. INFPs start with their inner feelings about something, and then they carve it down. One thing to take away here is that an INFJ is a lot more likely to change their viewpoint based on new information coming in. They're a bit less stubborn in their beliefs. And now, as a side note, I think that this is the reason that INFJs, more than any other type, doubt that they are really an INFJ. They usually take the test multiple times because they're constantly open-minded enough to doubt their type. INFPs, on the other hand, they go by inner feeling above all else. And once that inner feeling is established, they are less likely to change their mind based on new information. So if you're constantly doubting if you're an INFJ, that's a big sign you're an INFJ. If you took the test once and you never looked back, then you might just have some INFP tendencies there. Number 10, INFJs may be mystery boxes. INFPs are open books. INFJs often seem private, distant, or unreadable until you earn their trust. INFPs are also private, but once they feel safe, they open up fully and they become vulnerable. So basically, an INFP will open up easier and sooner than an INFJ. Number 11, INFJs, the emotionally smooth chameleon. INFJs are actually the most extroverted of introverts. That means we can turn on our social abilities for short time frames. It exhausts us, but we can do it. INFPs are a bit more classically introverted, and they're going to almost always appear that way in a group setting. But because of the INFJ's chameleon abilities, we can actually appear like an extrovert in a group if the occasion calls for it. Whereas the INFP, they're almost always going to appear introverted. Number 12, INFJs organize emotions into systems. INFPs organize them into stories. Now this one bleeds together a little, but I think the order here is important. INFJs love psychological models, types, and frameworks. It helps us map the emotional world, and we really like to think deeply about these things. INFPs don't always need a system like that. They like the way things make them feel. They relate more to metaphors, symbols, and characters. So they actually feel their way into understanding. So think of the INFJ as a little bit more of a scientist versus the INFP, who's a little bit more of a follow your heart type of person. Don't get me wrong, INFJs still like symbols, but we also like these logical frameworks. INFJs and INFPs both have strengths. They're just wired differently. So if you resonated more with INFJ, I think you're going to love my deep dive on why INFJs are first admired, then left behind. You can find that right here.